Welcome back, pro wrestling fans. Welcome back, IWC. It's your old buddy, the Guardian of Chaos, Big Daddy. And I tell it like it is. Coming to you live to tape, 25 feet below the surface of the earth. Here for another episodic YouTube adventure on Guardian of Chaos, the YouTube channel for Chaos Corner. Once again, we dive in to story time. Kick back and relax. It's early in the morning. I don't know, 5:30, 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I couldn't sleep. I was up all night reading the newest release from Brian Solomon, best-selling author from the Arcadian Vanguard podcast, Shut Up and Wrestle, a man who worked in the WWE in the offices in the early 2000s, wrote for the WWE magazine, and currently writes for Pro Wrestling Illustrated. One heck of a guy, a true gentleman, class personified. He's written many books with more on the way, but this one is special and hits home, especially for OGs like me. One man, unique, unedited, unscripted, raw dog for you, the fans. Shout out to my mods, my brother from another mother. There is no other who's holding it down, keeping it real and maintaining, and that's you, Austin Nance. And of course, the OTS Tribal Queen. We have an APB out for her, but I know she's watching, and we hope you're doing well, Jen. Fans, family, friends, here it is. The much-awaited arrival of the Irresistible Force. We're going to go through some tidbits and useless facts of information. Maybe not for you, but for somebody. The life and times of Gorilla Monsoon. Obviously, as I said, written by Brian Solomon. The foreword by the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be, Bret the Hitman Hart. And again, I'm going to give you a couple of quips. You can see it was well researched. I'm on, I don't know, I think chapter 8. I barely could put this down since I purchased it. So we're going to start off with some reviews, what some luminaries in the pro wrestling industry had to say. And I hope you guys enjoy this. Grab a snack, grab a breakfast sandwich, grab a cup of coffee or some water with lemon, because I know that's what I need. And I just want to say thank you to my followers, subscribers, members, family, and friends, and for being back here on the channel. I'm taking a little bit of a time off. I'm probably going to do maybe one show a week, 2 at the most. For the last month or 2, I put up about 300 or 400 videos. I will admit I'm a little burnt out and a little disappointed, but out of love, motivation, and passion, I will continue on this channel. Follow me over on X, aka Twitter, at Big Daddy GOC. Follow me here on the channel. Go over to the community section, the post section. You'll see some of the updates. I have 2 accounts over on Facebook. I am taking some time off for social media over on Facebook. It's J Brony, just like it sounds. Jabroni, J Brony, for all you geeks and goons and neckbeards and mouth breathers and virgins. And no offense, man, fans with the brain of a dehydrated BB. I mean, that's not you. Kayfabe, man. Lighten up. And of course, a more personal account in honor of my heritage over on Facebook, Prodigio Fidelis el Guardian. Research it. This book is dedicated to the memory of Mrs. Maureen Morella, true wrestling royalty and a woman who honored me with her trust and support, to quote Brian Solomon. It's also dedicated to the entire Morella family, and I humbly offer it as a tribute to the man who was so loved by them and by the world. I was a huge fan of the Gorilla. Prime time with Gorilla and Bobby the Brain Heenan, and of course his announcing with Jesse the Body Ventura were huge influences in my career, not only as a pro wrestling manager, but a play-by-play and color commentator myself in this industry. My 40-year journey, my 30-year in-ring career as a pro wrestling manager who took the fucking bumps. There's a lot of controversy out there with current podcasters and fans in the IWC who give their opinions and their evaluations and break down what they see, and that's great. Not saying that you don't know what you're talking about, because all you got to do is watch the product, so I can respect that. But in all honesty, until you've ever stepped in the fucking ring and took the bumps, and it was a part of the emotional investment, the ring psychology, or the storytelling, what do you really know? What have you really experienced? Have you ever gone through the training and been to a wrestling school and applied yourself physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually? We're all going through a lot of hard times right now. Stay focused. Surround yourself with like-minded people. Situational awareness. Use your own discernment. And stay close to your faith. Lean on your faith. And if that's not for you and you don't believe, well, hey, man, that's on you. And before I get on to the rest of the dedications and then some gorilla-isms and reviews from other luminaries, all this controversy and politics that's in the current state of the wrestling world, people putting out their own personal views and agendas, and this is a hot topic, and I really don't give a fuck what you think, or if you're going to come at me, or if you're going to say things. I don't put any stock into that. I go by what I believe. You know, whether it's Sami Zayn, CM Punk, Brody King, Anthony Bowens, all the bisexual stuff, sexual identity, politics, whatever it is you're talking about, from Russia to Trump to Israel, Ukraine, to the Middle East, to ICE, to illegal immigration, whatever it is in your opinion is, you're allowed to have it. Doesn't mean that it's right. And for all these employees who are allowed to push their personal agendas on company time, on our dime, I personally think it's horseshit. I don't agree with it. That's my viewpoint. That's my opinion. I wanted to get this out of the way as part of my opening monologue. If you went to your job in the real world on company time and voiced your political or religious views or any of the things in current society, you would at the very least be suspended, laid off, fired. Nobody's above the law or above all the rules. But apparently in the pro wrestling industry, a lot of people are. We use this for sports, entertainment, music, pro wrestling, whatever it is that you want to talk about, as a distraction, as a temporary escape from the current lunacy, chaos, pun intended, in today's world, which is worse than ever. Whether it be racism, politics, whatever the issue is, because I personally don't give a fuck about your sexual identity, orientation, where you come from, what you look like, your color, your creed, your culture, who you pray to, who you idolize. I don't give a fuck. And I apologize for the cussing. I mean, I really do. I don't want to be hypocritical. It comes across naturally, and I apologize for that. So I don't really care about that. But once again, when you bring it into the entertainment industry, that's not what it's there for. I don't agree with it. I don't like it. I think there's no room or space for it. You're creating division. You think you're speaking out and you're helping, and you're not. And this is for all the talent, because I was a part of that group long before most of you were dripping down your daddy's legs. Or perhaps maybe your mama swallowed. I don't want to get too crazy here, but you understand where I'm coming from. So I just wanted to put that out there, because there's a lot of people talking about it, and I'm trying to not create division, but a lot of you are, and you intentionally try to troll or antagonize, and social media is the worst thing that was ever created. And then once you get into AI, you're going to see all this stuff with digital this and ID this. You're going to see it's going to come back to bite everybody in the ass. So that's my personal viewpoint. I'm allowed to have it. You don't like it, change the channel. But let's get back onto the positivity and what I'm here to do. But I wanted to get on my soapbox. Now I'm off. I already took a shower. Back to The Life and Times of Gorilla Monsoon by Brian Solomon, The Irresistible Force. And right now, this show is the immovable object, because this isn't a fucking podcast. It's a show. You come here to learn things. So you're better off when you walk out of here than when you walked in here. So at your next venue or event, or the holidays, or a party, or a gathering, or the water cooler, or a bar, or a pub, or a restaurant, wherever the fuck it is that you hang out, that you can actually hold a conversation and contribute something. Let that sink in. Let that marinate. Back to the dedication to the Morella family. And thank you, Brian Solomon, for allowing me to review this and put this up on my channel. And it's content for me. And I try to spread the wealth and put everybody over. Give everybody the rub, because if it's not about giving back and putting others over and being happy for your family and friends and others who are successful, I don't know what you're doing. You really don't have your head and your heart in the right place. But it's also a two-way street. I personally don't do it for people to come back and do it for me. But it's a one-way street with a lot of you, so-called my people in the IWC, in this community. You're one way. And you know who you are. From the big guys to the middle guys to the little guys to people who have no platform. And that's just the facts. Because I am the guardian of chaos. I'll say that to say this, because I tell it like it is. Again, to quote Brian Solomon, it's also dedicated to the entire Morella family, and I humbly offer as a tribute to the man who was so loved by them and by the world, but especially to Valerie, who is always around to answer with limitless patience all my pestering questions about the father who brought her so much joy. And on a personal note, to my Uncle Peter, who motivated and inspired me to become a writer more than anyone else. He happened to be a theatrical performer and longtime World Wrestling Federation fan who showed me from an early age that pro wrestling is one of the purest forms of theater that there is. I agree with you, Brian. Let's get on to some of the reviews by luminaries in the business. One of the best friends I've ever had in my life. Just an honest, decent man. Bobby the Brain Heenan. Gino had a heart as big as all outdoors. He was a really principled guy. Cowboy Bill Watts. A very gracious man and very intelligent. He was really a piece of work, I'll tell you that. Quote Ken Patera. He was such a fair character, a legit friend, just a big guy with a golden heart. I miss him. The unpredictable Johnny Rods. He was one of the most generous persons I ever met in my life. Davy O'Hannon. Gino was just a salt of the earth guy. You knew where you stood with him all the time, to quote Jerry Briscoe. He was quite an athlete, quite a gentleman, and a hell of a family man. Tony Gurria. There was such kindness that surrounded him. Gary Michael Capetta. Everybody at that TV studio that had worked with Gino Morello loved and revered him. Quote Kevin Kelly. He was a man's man, a man of his word, of honor and integrity. Hugo Savinovich. He was a hell of a father, a hell of a person, and one hell of a stand-up guy, always. Mike Chioda. He was always there to offer advice, and it was never to tear down, it was always to enhance. Jimmy Corderas. It's the ultimate success story in wrestling when somebody gets in a business, becomes a main event guy, and then they can pick and choose what they want to do. They get part of the office and end up doing TV, announcing, and being the figurehead president. I mean, Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ. To quote Jim Cornette. He was the gentle giant, but boy, if you pissed him off, leave town. Mario Savoldi. Again, the different contents in here, it's a very lengthy book, from the foreword to the introduction, which I just read. Chapter 1, A Final Bow in Philly. Chapter 2, A Secret Heritage. Chapter 3, Big Bob. Chapter 4, Tiny. Chapter 5, Gino. Chapter 6, The Manchurian Giant. Chapter 7, To the West Coast and Back. Chapter 8, Points on the Territory. Chapter 9, The Boy, the Boxer, the Bruiser, and the Bleeder. Chapter 10, The Only Wrestler to Retire for Good. Chapter 11, Vinny Makes His Move. Chapter 12, Prime Time. Chapter 13, The Gorilla in the Brain. Chapter 14, Changing Times, Changing Roles. Chapter 15, President Monsoon. It's got a ring to it. Chapter 16, Goodbye, my friend. Chapter 17, History has been made. I'm going to read and quote the foreword by Bret the Hitman Hart. Few men have walked in bigger shoes than Gino Morello, especially in the larger-than-life world of professional wrestling.
Someone was detected at your front camera.
Someone's at the front door? I know you're watching. Big Brother's watching. It's only going to get worse. And now you know that I know that you're watching. Gino Morello, especially the larger-than-life world of professional wrestling, where good men generally die like dogs, to quote Bret the Hitman Hart as I continue with the forward. Gino was a man's man, a guy who was loved and respected both in and out of the ring. I had the pleasure of meeting Gino in 1979 when I was just breaking in. He took the time even then to speak of his admiration for my dad.
Someone was detected at your front camera.
and how he held special memories of his time in Calgary. Little did I know that my dad had taken him down to the Hart House basement, soon to be famously known forever as the Dungeon, thanks to Gino. That day in 1961 led to Gino getting cross-faced and getting a busted bloody nose that somehow cemented their friendship. Only in pro wrestling do these things happen, not like today's current industry in 2025. I respect the talent that gets in the ring, but the storytelling, some of the production, the head honchos, the leaders of the industry, the storytelling, all horse shit. The business has really changed, and that's just my opinion. And the fan base has changed dramatically, especially those under the age of 30. Even those under the age of 40. Nobody has any respect, common courtesy, any sense of history. Disrespectful sons of bitches that say a lot of things that you wouldn't dare say to somebody's fucking face if you met him in person. Gino went to become a legend of the business. He was as tough as he looked. Not only a tough wrestler with a real background, but more importantly, he became a huge draw and made a lot of money. Enough to earn his place as a top man in the grandest wrestling company of them all. The WWE. The WWF. The Worldwide Wrestling Federation. Before it became sports entertainment, and we let everybody in on the business. You went out there and you perform the physical theatrics, try to make people suspend their disbelief, and then you come back and you peel back the onion and open up the curtain and tell everybody what you just tried to sell us. Does that make any sense to anyone? Because it doesn't. And then everybody reviews it. The wrestling business is oversaturated. It's great for the talent. The companies are making millions and billions off of you, the families, the blue-collar people, the true diehards, with their pricing and their gouging and their tickets and their pay-per-views and their streaming services. Over the top. I haven't attended a live event and I can't remember how long. Let this sink in and marinate, because this is the truth and this is what you get here. A connection, someone who is an insider. If I say it, take it to the Bank of Wachovia if you know what the fuck I'm talking about. By the time I wound up there, to quote Bret Hart, Gino was a made man. He took a shine to me in those early days when my prospects were low and my future was dim. He always spoke highly of my dad and praised me privately, telling me to hang in there and to make my dad proud someday. Often it was simply a compliment on my match, but my dad would come while teaming up with Jim the Anvil Neidhart in the Hart Foundation. And you guys know my history with the Hart Foundation. Was able to manage Jim the Anvil Neidhart and be in the ring across from him as an ally and a foe. And also appeared on a couple of different events when Bret Hart first originally came back to New York after the Montreal screw job, when I was commissioner for the NAWA and took that office from Bruno Sammartino. And was honored to meet Bret Hart and pick his brain, and he allowed me to talk to him and ask questions. And he came back into the locker room and took time to speak to all the boys. People say he's cantankerous, he's bitter. He's not. He's a man's man, just like the Anvil. Being able to sit in the restaurants, the bars, the hotel rooms, the locker rooms and talked to the Anvil about Bret Hart, about his family, including Natty, about Owen Hart and what happened in his tragic death. That's why you're here. I've learned from the best. What can you say? Tell me what you're all about. And that's when I say, do you really know what the fuck you're talking about? All you podcasters in this oversaturated market. I'm just telling it like it is. The Hart Foundation, where he bestowed upon me the moniker, the excellence of execution. I can't explain what a huge boost that was to me at a time when few even noticed me. One day I asked him why he dubbed me such high praise, and he simply said, "You execute every move with such precision. It's the truth. You're a great worker, better than anyone else." Gorilla Monsoon talking about Bret Hart. Gino was a real friend to me in those early days. He was a great wrestler, businessman, family man, but more important than anything else, he was a true friend to everyone who knew him. He was famous for his honesty and his big heart. I can think of no man who ever had anything but the highest respect for him in and out of the ring. Gorilla was a second father to me, and I'll always be indebted to him for all he did for me throughout my long career. There was only one Gino Marella, and he had a platinum heart right till the very end. I'm not going to go on to the introduction yet and this part of Chaos Corner, story time. Brian Solomon, The Irresistible Force. I can't recommend it highly enough. I mean, I think $25. Barnes & Noble. You can order it through the website for Brian Solomon. Shut Up and Wrestle, the Arcadian Vanguard podcast. It really is something. I believe Brian first met Gorilla maybe in 1999 at Titan Towers, right here in the shadows of Titan Towers, in the greater New England tri-state Northeast area. Excuse me, pardon me. We're less than 30 minutes in. I won't go much longer because you can see this is a long read. Bret Hart and talking about the book here. What a monumental achievement this book is. I was fascinated from the first page. Brian Solomon filled in so many blanks for me and also reintroduced many wrestlers I'd long forgotten about. I'll put it right next to my favorite pro wrestling books ever. Here's Jim Cornette with another quote. Longtime pro wrestling fans know the name Gorilla Monsoon as a major in-ring star. But until the publication of this book, only industry insiders knew the extent of Bob Gino Marella's power and influence behind the scenes and how. Without him, today's WWE would be very different. If it existed at all. Think about that. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. Hello, McFly, is anybody home? Brian Solomon's extensive research and exhaustive interviews helped paint this incredible portrait of one of wrestling's most important and often overlooked figures. That's coming from Jim Cornette, who has the most highly successful podcast today in this industry, no matter what anybody says, ratings, numbers-wise, or whatever. I don't agree with his personal political views, but it's not about that. Nobody knows more about history and research than Jim Cornette, and that's just the facts. Whether you like him or don't. Same thing here with the GOC. That's me. What a great book. I enjoyed every page. I learned so much about Gorilla. He was known by many different names, but he will always be Mr. Marella to me. The man responsible for having a career, for me having a career in the WWF WWE. He was a man respected and loved by all who met him. And that's the quote, Tony Kimmel. The ring announcer, obviously. If you guys don't know that, you have the brain of a turnbuckle. A critical figure in the development of what would eventually become the juggernaut known as the WWE, Robert Gino Morella, better known as Gorilla Monsoon, has never had his whole story told until now. From Gino's wrestling days as the rampaging monster who sold out Madison Square Garden and challenged world champion Bruno Sammartino dozens of times, to his pivotal role behind the scenes as part owner and would-be successor to Vince McMahon Sr., to his days as the beloved television commentator who narrated the memories of millions of young fans. Brian Solomon, the author of Blood and Fire, the unbelievable real-life story of wrestling's original Sheik, which I have here down in the Vault of Chaos Chronicles in my library, has once again crafted the definitive biography of one of the most fascinating characters in pro wrestling. And I'll give you a little background on Brian Solomon. If you don't know, now you know. He's an educator and an author of several books on popular culture. He hosts the Shut Up and Wrestle podcast, serves as the news director for Arcadian Vanguard's The Wrestling News, which you can hear for free every day, and contributes to Pro Wrestling Illustrated and Inside the Ropes. He's a proud father of 3 and lives in Connecticut with his wife, son, and his Boston Terrier. Again, $24.95 here in the U.S. ECWpress.com. You can get the ebook as well. Let me go to a little glossary of gorilla-isms. And you can insert the appropriate context or quotes, but these are some of the greatest of all time. Drop kick and a beauty. Clothesline and a beauty. Brock Lesnar's Suplex City. Again, you can insert the name of the wrestling move, or you guys get it. The bell is rung and this one's underway. Gorilla came up with all of these. So if you want to know where they originated from, these are where they come from. Close only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades. A double noggin knocker. Excedrin headache number 15, or whatever number you want to think of. Usually used to describe, a blow to the head, and in reference to the 1960s and 70s commercial for the Excedrin medication headache brand, or whatever you want to call it. Good night, Irene. Used to describe holds that put wrestlers out cold, in reference to the title of a popular folk music record by the Weavers, I believe, which spent 13 weeks at number 1 in 1950. Most notably became the actual name of Adrian Adonis's finisher. And that's why you're here, to learn things like this. This is what I present to you. He doesn't have that applied properly. He just got his clock cleaned. He slipped out the back door. He escaped the hold. He went to the well one too many times. He's busted wide open. He's on Rubber Leg Street, as I say, on Queer Street. In other words, before everyone gets crazy out there, and again, I don't give a fuck, that means to be on steady footing due to exhaustion or physical punishment. Do your research. Your due diligence. Research is your friend. I hope the ring's been specifically reinforced for this one. Obviously for matches usually involving the Giants, very large individuals in the ring. The irresistible force meeting the immovable object. That's the coup de grace for me. No love lost between these two. That's a very nonchalant cover. That'll give you a negative attitude in a hurry. That'll knock you right into the middle of next week. Unloading with the heavy artillery. You don't get paid in there by the hour. Batten down the hatches. The electricity is so thick you can cut it with a knife. Excitement personified. It's a jam-packed capacity crowd on hand. History has been made here. History in the making. It's going to be a happening. Pandemonium has broken loose. Chaos, if you will. Again, pun intended. The SRO lights went up early. SRO? Anyone? Bueller? SRO? Standing room only. They're literally hanging from the rafters here. It's so crowded, obviously, the fans are figuratively, not literally, hanging from the ceiling. This place is going bananas. Got to get your potassium on that one. Bleeding profusely. I've done that several times. In the bread basket. The cervical vertebrae. The external occipital protuberance at the back of the head. For all you pencil neck geeks out there. Ham hocks. You know what they are. And let's not talk about the women. Because I know all you folks out there in the IWC who never saw a pair of tits or perhaps got a sniff. You're thinking of something else when it comes to ham hocks. Fine chocks of land, yabos, if you will. Very large hands is what it means. Often reserved for Andre the Giant. The kisser. It's the face. I don't want to be like Kenny Omega. Mwah! And good night. You sound like a pickle schneifer. No offense, man. Lateral collateral ligaments, the lower lumbar region, right in the solar plexus, the trapezius muscles. The excellence of execution. Bret Hart, obviously. The greatest professional athlete in the world today. In reference to Hulk Hogan. No matter what you people want to think. Whatever happened to second chances? You hypocritical sons of bitches. He doesn't have any trouble getting a date for Saturday night. It takes Greg Valentine 15 to 20 minutes just to get warmed up. The mecca of professional wrestling, Madison Square Garden. At one time, virtually my second or third home, maybe. After the Boston Garden or the Hartford Civic Center or the New Haven Coliseum or the Meadowlands or the Philadelphia Spectrum or maybe even the Toronto Maple Leaf Gardens. In the greatest area, the Baltimore Arena, the Washington Capitol Center. Just remember where I'm from. If you can make it here, you can make it anywhere. And that's how I've survived and thrived for my over 60 years on this fucking planet. Yeah, I know. I don't look it. Thank you. The old man brand, the over 50, over 60 demo god. This is a main event anywhere in the country or the world. Very often, sometimes less than true. You don't get that way waiting on the bus. A reference to the hard work it takes to stay in great shape and into ring form. Again, I say that for the people out there that have no clue, and that's most of you. No offense. Stick a fork in him, ref. He's done. Come on, ref. Do something, even if it's wrong. This referee leaves a lot to be desired. You can count to 100. The Benedict Arnold of the World Wrestling Federation. Usually refer to someone who has betrayed you, obviously. And of course, I believe he used that originally for Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff in reference to the infamous colonial turncoat of the American Revolution. The biggest walking advertisement for birth control I've ever seen. Now, usually reserved for Captain Lou Albano. The devious one, konnichiwa, bitches, arigato from the Chaos Sun, in regards to Mr. Fuji, and you guys know that story. As he looked at me as I walked past the gang shower and World Gym back in the day, as he was taking a piss in the shower. Big Daddy taking a piss in the shower. Yeah, I saw the winky of Mr. Fuji. True stories, man. You can't make this up. Folks, if you want to maybe head into the kitchen and make yourself a sandwich, this might be a good time. And that's involving a lot of events in today's industry. And including the halftime show that's coming up and all the controversy over Bad Bunny. No me joda maricón, muévete culo pendejo. What'd I say? He's an American. He's from America. He's a heck of an entertainer. But he's a cross-dresser. And if you listen to the words of the song, a lot of the songs have some underlying tones, if you know what I mean. Not to mention, he doesn't stand for the national anthem. And he's from this country and he's an American, but yet he doesn't want to come to this country because of all the illegal stuff, illegal immigration. It's in the Constitution, in case you guys are wondering. Not for the good migrants, including my family and all of your families that have founded this country, but did it the right way. And there's a right way and a wrong way to do it. Doesn't want to perform in his own country, but he will for the millions to spread his platform during the Super Bowl. And those are the facts for people who wonder, why did it what it said? What's the big? Do some research and you'll understand what the fuck I'm talking about. Usually a fountain of misinformation out there, especially in today's environment. He ran off like a thief in the night, a snake in the grass, a miscarriage of justice. One of them lies and the other one swears to it. A Pearl Harbor job, a sneak attack. Obviously in reference to December 7th, 1941, when the Japanese bombing of Pearl Harbor during World War II. The most you even know about that? The walking condominium, a.k.a. King Kong Bundy. A great guy. And my personal history, one of my biggest rivals. When I called him a lard ass by mistake and I didn't know his family was in the area, and, he gave me a receipt out in Las Vegas a few years later. I loved Bundy. You guys know my history with King Kong Bundy. That's why you're here, and if you're not, now this is why you should be here. What a piece of work. Trying to keep it clean for the kids. What a piece of garbage. Give me a break. Highly unlikely. I'll have you thrown out of here. Please. Will you stop? Will you be serious? You resemble that remark, usually referring to Bobby the Brain. Barracuda, and not the song by heart of Barracuda. It's usually an undesirable woman. As in, I seem son of the Barracudas, aka rats that you hang out with. A behemoth, a mispronunciation for behemoth. Holy mackerel! A fish. If you hung him for being a good singer, you'd be hanging an innocent man. Thanking the man upstairs, thanking God. And that's a shoe. This guy doesn't know a wrist lock from a wristwatch. I hope you had your notebooks out. We will be back here on Chaos Corner for story time. for an unbelievable read, an unbelievable book by a great guy, Brian Solomon. The Irresistible Force, The Life and Times of Gorilla Monsoon. Thank you for being here on Chaos Corner. I really do appreciate it. Much love and respect, and I hope you're all doing well. Stay tuned to the channel. As I said, I'm taking a much needed break. There's over 6,500 videos on this channel. Over 1.5 million total views. Nobody works harder for you than I do. But I'm kicking it back. And we'll maybe be here weekly, maybe twice a week. I'll say that to say this. Because I tell it like it is. Don't you dare miss it.